Welcome back, everybody, to the No Business Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, Snooze, and of course, no business because we ain't got no business talking about soccer. But guess what? We're going to do it anyways. And today, again, we still don't have Danny P, but we do have our Brainiac J-Fam in the back. And of course, our boy Hype Man Vic, who's probably drunk by this point. But what you sipping on, man?
Well, today I mixed it up. I went with a gin and tonic because we are going to finish up Premier League in England. Adam, have you ever had tonic?
I have had tonic. I don't like that taste though. Is that weird?
Me neither.
You know what I mean? Like the soda water, but with bubbles or whatever.
Yes, exactly. But it also has some like weird root in it. It's weird saying that because I don't like it either. But I couldn't really find anything else from England I wanted to make. So after I take a drink from a bunch of these, you'll see me just have a little bit of a bitter face.
Could have had a pint from Newcastle, mate.
Thought about it, but I didn't want to buy another 6-pack or something. So.
Okay, fair enough.
I had this.
Well, obviously we have a lot to talk about. This is the second part of our Premier League wraparound. I say that laughingly because I want to say the Prem, but we're doing the second half of the Premier League 24-25 teams. We're reviewing everybody, talking about their nicknames, locations, history, key players, and whatnot. So we've done this with all the other leagues. This is the last one of all of them. So if you've watched us by now, you know the drill. And so we're starting today with Leicester City FC. They go by the Foxes. Their head coach is Steve Cooper. He joined in 2024. He's taken over the Leicester job after Maresca left them high and dry for Chelsea after last season. Steve Cooper previously coached for Swansea and Forest, and he is not winning a beauty pageant anytime soon. That was rude. Founding date, the Leicester City was founded in 1884, and they are located in East Midlands in the city of Leicester. And I'm sure Vic is going to tell us that that's something in Florida or Texas or something.
We'll see. Leicester is pretty big. It has 373,399 people in it, all in a 28 square mile area. It's a pretty tiny and dense population there. Leicester plays in King Power Stadium, one of the most powerful names out there, with a seating capacity of 32,312. So what does this mean in American? Well, the closest U.S. city that America has as far as population is Nolens, New Orleans, Louisiana. And the closest U.S. city is Ann Arbor, Michigan, as far as square miles. So tiny little college town for a giant amount of people that are in New Orleans. And I'm not going to do a quiz on this one. The closest pro stadium that we have in America, we've done this one a couple of times. It's Progressive Field, home of the Cleveland Guardians. And the closest non-pro stadium we have is a very plainly named Martin Stadium, home of the Washington State Football Cougars, another college football team that we have here.
Okay. Thank you for that, Victor. And last season, Leicester, obviously, they were promoted. So they won the championship and were automatically promoted. Their best ever finish in the Premier League. You might have heard of this before, but Leicester City, they actually won the Prem in the 2015-2016 season. And it was their first title in the club's history, the first Premier League title in the club's history. Their last time they were in Europe was the 2020-2021 Europa League, and their best ever finish in Europe was going to the quarterfinals of the 2016-2017 Champions League, where they lost to Atletico Madrid. And in 21-22 Europa Conference League, they got to the semis, losing to Roma. Their top scorer last season was Jamie Vardy, who, golly, how is he still playing at the top level like this? He is a English center forward, 36 years old at this point. He scored 18 goals for them last season. Their assist leader last season was Kieran Dewsbury Hall. He is a 24-year-old center midfield, English center midfielder with 14 assists last year. Their best young talent to watch for is Isahaku Fatawu. He is a Ghanaian right winger, 20 years old. Last season, he had 6 goals and 13 freaking assists. He had a great season with them on loan from Sporting Lisbon last season, and he's staying for good. He comes over for on a permanent this summer. And some quick interesting facts. Actually, I only have one. So the one interesting fact I could find about Leicester was that the win their win in the Premier League was described as one of the greatest sporting stories of all time, as the team started the season as 5,000 to 1 odds to win it. And I can almost guarantee there's going to one day be a documentary or a movie made about that team, about that ride. And that year, Spurs finished, I believe it was third, really high up the table. So it kind of pissed me off. We were like right there, and then they just didn't even care because this little team called Leicester ended up winning it. Anyway, bad times. Vic, tell us the odds, please.
Yeah, well, if they want an even better movie to come out pretty soon, they will have to fight these odds, because they are actually tied last with Ipswich Town FC that we talked about in the previous episode. They have 150,000 plus 150,000 to win the Premier League. Again, not 15,000, 150,000. They have them dead last, and to finish in the top 10, they have the worst odds at a plus 1,600. And that's just to be in the top part of the table. So, yeah, it's pretty hard to see, because I remember that season and I was rooting for them a bunch of underdogs. And now they're just like, just under.
Just under.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, bringing in, looking at their rivals, we can't really count Fatawu as an arrival because he was already there, but he's just there permanently now. They bring in Okoli from Atalanta, and then they also have a few others that were brought up from other teams. They did lose Kieran Dewsbury Hall, who, again, we talked about was their assist leader last season with 14. So he's moving on to Chelsea. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to replace those goals for a Leicester side that don't have a ton of talent. They're pretty decent, but don't have a ton. And they're one of the favorites to be relegated this season. And again, I think swapping Maresca for Steve Cooper probably isn't a good thing to do. Not like they had any choice in the matter. He went along with Dewsbury Hall to Chelsea. But yeah, it's not. They don't have good odds to stay up, and I'm pretty sure those didn't get better when you lost your coach, who was, the one that had all the momentum and stuff last season. Yeah, I really think I can see them going back down. It was a fun time whenever they were around and winning, but they're not the same team anymore. Okay. Anything else you want to say about Leicester, sir?
No, I just that their away kit. I usually like black kits, black jerseys, but this one looks like they were painting the house or painting something, and it just kind of got on them, like in all different directions, and then they put a logo on it. I don't really like them.
Or like they leaned on a black wall on their
real jerseys. Yeah,
yeah.
So,
gosh,
just kind of weird. I don't really like the design of it, but
yeah, okay. That is hilarious. It does look like spray paint too. That's not a good kit. Okay. I can't complain though, because wait till you see Spurs. Okay, whatever. Let's move on. We have the next team. We're just going to run through this team real quick. They're called Liverpool, or the Reds. Their new coach is Arne Slot. He's a Dutch coach coming over for the now. I don't know if he's retired or he just decided that he's taking a break for a sec, Jurgen Klopp. But many pundits have described Arne Slot as one of the best coaches in the history of Feyenoord, where he came from. And that's because he combined results with developing players and playing attacking, attractive football. And a lot of the pride that you get for your club is whenever you see a kid that kind of comes through the ranks and then just starts to star for your team. And that's kind of what Arne Slot did over in Feyenoord for so many years. Liverpool founded in June 1892, and Liverpool is in the city of Liverpool, which is in the Merseyside region of England. And Vic, please take all the time you need, buddy.
No, I'll be quick. Liverpool has a population of 496,770, all in a 43 square mile area. We went over this with Everton in the last episode, but if you haven't seen that yet, we'll go over it again. They play at Anfield with a capacity of 61,276. And just like we spoke about with Everton, what this means in American, the closest U.S. city that we have as far as population is Atlanta, Georgia, and the closest U.S. city as we have as far as square mileage is Modesto, California. The closest pro stadium that we have is Commanders Field, unfortunately, home of the Washington Commanders in the NFL. And the closest non-pro stadium that we have is Ross-Ade Stadium. It's the Purdue Boilermakers college football team.
There's nothing that says America like some Boilermakers.
Boilermakers.
And last season, Liverpool finished third place in the Prem. They had the third ranked goals for and the third ranked goals against. So just threes all around. They just really wanted to be third in everything they did. No, that's no disrespect, by the way. That sounded ruder than I meant it to sound. But anyway, I mean, they did better than Spurs. So best ever finish in the Prem. They actually have won the Prem. They won it one time back in the 2019-2020 season. That's one time since it's been the Premier League. So don't come after me. Their history in Europe, the last time they were there was in the last season's Europa League, where they lost to Atlanta in the quarterfinals, which they went on to do pretty well in that tournament, I heard. Their best ever finish in Europe, they won the Champions League 6 times, most recently in the 2018-2019 season. Let's move on. Some key players for them last season. Vic, you know what? You go ahead and you do this part. How about that?
Yeah, I got you. Right. The top player that we have as far as scoring and assists is Mohamed Salah. He's a 32-year-old Egyptian right winger. Everybody knows him. He's lost a little bit of touch. I'll give him that, but he's absolutely electric, and you got to watch out for him on the field at all times. He had 18 goals and 10 assists last year. And the best young talent that Liverpool has is a good option that you have here, Adam Ben Doak. He's a Scottish right winger. He's 18 years old. He was injured a lot last season. We had a lot of young talent that was kind of injured, but Ben Doak, whenever he does have the ball, can make some things happen. And he kind of reminds me of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Every time he gets the ball, he can put it wherever he wants, and he's got that thing like on a string, man. He can really take care of it and dribble down the field. So. Good option you had there. Good job.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And TAA, even though he's, a lot of danger and caused me a lot of heartache over the years, he's really fun to watch. So, yeah. Take your hat off to the guy like that. Some interesting facts about Liverpool, and hopefully these are some that Vic didn't even know. The club was founded in June 3rd, 1892 by stadium owner John Holding after Everton was evicted from Anfield Stadium. Everton had been the stadium's tenants from 1884 to 1891, but a disagreement between the club president and the landowner led for their departure. And that's where Liverpool became a team. So that's freaking cool. Liverpool is the most successful English team in European football history, having won the European Cup, the Champions League, 6 freaking times. You'll Never Walk Alone was written by Oscar Hammerstein II and composed by Richard Rodgers for their musical Carousel, which was released in the USA in 1945. It later spawned a number of cover versions, the most successful of which in the UK was released by Jerry and the Pacemakers in 1963, and I believe that's the version that they use today.
Yes, it is.
When they're walking out the tunnel.
It's also my alarm every Liverpool game day morning as well. So,
it's going to go off at 6:30 in just a couple of short days.
I'll be up.
Okay, and while you're at it, tell us the odds that Liverpool win this league.
Yeah, you were saying threes all around earlier, and we have the third best odds at a plus 700 to win the Premier League, and to be in the top 4, we have a 200 at a minus 200, so we're favorites to be in the top 4 and get onto the Champions League. I think rightfully earned. We've looked pretty good in the preseason with Arne Slot. Luis Diaz is really starting to shine, and if you guys want us to talk a little bit more in depth about certain teams, like our own teams, please let us know down in the comments, because I'm pretty sure we could do that for quite a while. So
yeah.
I'll cut it off short, and we'll end it there.
And real quick on Luis Diaz, you see he's a rapper. Or a reggaeton artist. He has a music video. It's actually pretty good too. Okay. So now we're going to talk about some facts, and I'm just talking facts, so don't come for me, Vic, and the rest of the Anfield faithful. There are 0 arrivals as of this moment for Liverpool, and I mean, they haven't lost anybody either too much. Fabio Carvalho, who was good for a bit, but he wasn't part of the main plan anyway. He goes to Brentford. Bookies have them finishing top 4, but the general feeling that I get outside of Victor is that there's an anxious feeling about this team going into 24-25 Prem season, because the squad is already world-class. We know that. There's world-class pieces all over the pitch for them. But a new head coach, after losing one that had been there for so long, and no new signings that might fit that coach scheme better, it's obviously it's some nervous times, right? Because they're wondering, why is this happening? What's going on? And I watched a whole video about it to prep for this, where they were talking about how the sporting director essentially told everyone, like, hey, there's not going to be signings in July, but expect there to be a ton in August. But he wasn't just talking about for Liverpool. He was talking about in general, which is not true, because even Spurs, who we never signed people early, have signed players and Liverpool haven't. It's just kind of weird. And maybe it's because they're, filling out the players for the new coach. I don't know. But it seems like if you have a new coach, you'd want to bring in some players. Yeah, go ahead, Vic. Tell me.
I would say that I like this feeling sucks for me, but I'm also a Dallas Cowboys fan. They never do anything in the offseason.
Both teams.
Fucking ever. So yeah, I'm just kind of used to it. We'll be like, yeah, we still got a solid team though. We'll be fine.
Well, I will say the one season that Spurs didn't sign a single person, like literally in a calendar year, two windows, they didn't sign a single player. We lost to y'all in the Champions League, but still, like we got there. So
but you got there.
Okay. And now looking at the kits and the stadium, I wanted to call out one thing before we move on. First off, love the away kit, the sleeves. It's just like a turquoise color, pretty cool. Don't understand the pattern on the kit. It looks like cactuses to me, or something. I don't know.
The home kit,
like, yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool.
It does look kind of weird. I equated it to Galactus from Marvel. I think I prefer that a little bit more. Kind of looks like
nerd
that.
Nerd alert.
His little helmet and stuff. So, but yeah, I understand what you mean.
And the last thing I want to say before we move on is just, Vic, do us all a favor. Take a look at that stadium inside picture and just imagine us being there in just a short time for your bachelor party coming up.
Yes.
My boy's trying to get married.
Yes.
So just dream of that. Okay. All right. Let's move on now to Manchester City. They go by the Citizens, the Sky Blues. Their coach is Pep Guardiola. He's a Spanish coach, been with them since 2016. And he is, I have one note, he's the best manager in the world, if not one, then two behind Carlo Ancelotti. Manchester City was founded in 1880, and Manchester is in the city of Manchester. And I'm sure there's two teams from there that Vic's going to talk about.
Yes. So this would be the same for both of them. Manchester has a population of 568,996 in a 45 square mile area. Kind of tiny town with a bunch of people, very dense. The current stadium is technically the City of Manchester Stadium, but everybody knows it as Etihad Stadium, with a capacity of 53,600. So what does that mean in American? Well, the closest U.S. city that we have as far as population is Baltimore, Maryland, and the closest U.S. city size that we have as far as square mileage is Aurora, Illinois, not Aurora, Colorado, Illinois. And it's been a while, so we'll throw an easy one at you again, and just get your self-esteem back up.
Oh, God,
Adam, our MLB, I promise you, our MLB correspondent, the closest pro stadium that we have in America is Dodger Stadium, home of...
Oh, the Dodgers.
Yeah,
yes.
There you go. Very good.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And the closest non-pro stadium that we have here in America is another college football stadium. It is the Sun Devil Stadium, home of the Arizona State Sun Devils, because it's hot there.
It is out there. And last season, Manchester City, they finished first. They had the first in goals for. They were second in goals against, and best ever finished. They've actually won the Premier League 6 times, and they were all under Pep. So obviously he's doing something good over there. Last time they were in Europe was last season's Champions League, where they lost to Real Madrid in the quarterfinals, who Real Madrid ended up winning the whole thing. So no hard feelings there. And their best ever European finish is they won the Champions League back in 22-23, beating Inter. And that was actually kind of like what are those, the stones on the glove? The rhinestones? What are they called?
The Infinity Stones?
Why did I say rhinestones? The Infinity Stones. Anyway, the Infinity Stones. It was kind of like Pep's last one. He just needed that with City to kind of be, he was already cemented as one of the greats, but now it's legitimately up there as best of all time. Best players for City last season. We have the 22-year-old Norwegian center forward Erling Haaland, who scored 27 goals for them, winning the Golden Boot, and he's won that the past 2 seasons in a row. The assist leader was KDB, Kevin De Bruyne, one of my favorite players. He's a 32-year-old attacking midfield Belgian, had 10 assists for them last season, and the best young talent to watch for, we talked about him in La Liga, but he is Savinho. He's coming over from Girona, Brazilian 20-year-old right winger, and he had an outstanding season for Girona last season. And he's coming over, and he's already doing his thing in the preseason. He's going to be really fun to watch. And I'm just glad because City had no attacking players, Vic, and they really needed this guy to come in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's awesome. Really
Rich get richer,
Yeah,
it's great. In 22-23, Manchester City had the second highest revenue in the world, estimated at £825 million, according to Deloitte Football Money League. In 2022, Forbes estimated the club was the 6th most valuable in the world, around $4.2 billion. Since August 4th, 2008, the club is majority owned by Sheikh Mansour, one of football's wealthiest owners, who has estimated individual net worth of, get this, $17 billion and a family fortune of about $1 trillion, which is pretty much why they are where they are. And,
Jesus.
It is what it is. I can say that. So, Vic, tell us the odds that they win this league yet again.
Well, they do have the best odds to win the Premier League at a plus 120, and to finish top 4, they are the odds maker, having pretty much a shoe in at a minus 750 favorite. And I have to say, well deserved and everything. But when you actually, I'll save it for later. Let's go ahead and talk about around. So I'll save it for the end. Yeah.
All right. So again, looking at the arrivals and departures, Savinho's coming in, and this is how ridiculous, how good this team is. They're losing Julian Alvarez, their Argentinian center forward. He's going to Atletico Madrid for $75 million. And it doesn't even matter. Nobody cares. So yeah, that's how good City are. But side note, what the heck is up with Atletico Madrid? What is going on with them? How are they just having all this money all of a sudden? I just fell on my desk.
No.
I know, no one's in here and something just banged my desk. That's real creepy. Anyway, so Vic, tell us what you're going to say.
I was just going to say that, they've been dominating recently. They won 2015, pretty much the entire end of the 2010s. They just won again last year, but they remind me of Tom Brady, and I respect Tom Brady, but at some point you're like, all right, retire, dude. It's somebody else turn to win. You need to go on and do something else. This Pep needs to go on and do something else. He's won everything. Man City needs to sell some players and make some money. I don't know what they do, and it's just one of those things where they're at the top of the league for so long, and everybody else just kind of fed up with it. Come on, somebody else needs to win. And I could probably go on for a lot longer. So that's the main thing I wanted to say, and I can't wait until they slowly fall apart. Hopefully, going down the future.
Well, you sound like you're upset about that. And just to let you know, as you started talking, I don't know if your network went down or what, but you had a lot of glitching and a lot of lagging. But we pretty much caught on to what was going on there.
We'll see. If not, I'll add a little footnote to the next video. But I think this records locally, so it should be good. I just kept going because I saw it mess up too. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so moving on to the other Manchester team, Manchester United. Man U, the Red Devils, they're known by, or Man U, I just said that. Their head coach is Erik ten Hag, a Dutch coach. He's been with them since 2022. And I got to say, there was a bit of confusion if he was staying or if he was going at the end of this past season. It was pretty much a bad Prem season for them. But he won the FA Cup. So, that's cool. So I don't know. There's a lot of confusion as if he was staying or going. It seemed like the team didn't want him there, but we'll talk more about that in a second. Manchester United were founded in 1878. And again, they were in Manchester. And Vic talked about that a second ago, but I'm sure you have something cooked up for us this time.
No, I'll go through it pretty quick. They are in Manchester. We talked about it. 568,000 and some change in a 45 square mile area. Except they play at Old Trafford, which a lot of people have heard of, with a giant capacity of 74,310. Again, this means in American that the closest U.S. city population is Baltimore, Maryland, and the closest U.S. city size is Aurora, Illinois, not Colorado. But the closest pro stadium that we have here in America to Old Trafford is Bank of America Stadium, home of the Carolina Panthers and Charlotte FC as well. And the closest non-pro stadium that we have is Spartan Stadium, home of the Michigan State Football Spartans, another college football team. And a college football team with these giant pro soccer teams, or football to everybody else, but soccer teams is pretty insane. We love our football here.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually whenever you're talking about a college stadium, they're small. 74 or 75, whatever it was, 1,000, like that is not tiny. So
ridiculous.
Last season, Man U finished 8th place. They were joint 9th with Palace for goals for, and joint 7th with Villa in goals against. Their best ever finish in the Premier League. Well, Manchester United, we all know them. They've won a record 13 titles in the Prem since the top flight of English football was given that new name in 1992. Last time they were in Europe was the Champions League last season, finishing bottom of their group. Had to throw that out there because they need to know. Best ever European finish. They've won the Champions League 3 times, most recently in the 2008 iteration. Last season, their top scorer is actually a tie with 10 goals between Rasmus Højlund and Bruno Fernandes. And the assist leader is actually Bruno Fernandes as well. 28-year-old Portuguese attacking midfielder had 8 assists to go with those 10 goals he scored. Best young talent to watch for. We're just going to run it back with Rasmus Højlund, 21-year-old Danish center forward. And he definitely has a lot of talent, and you can see it because at moments he kind of sticks out and he looks like the guy who's going to be one of their next stars. And his scoring stats, though, are what's dividing the Manchester United fans. I was reading a lot about him in preparation for this video, and it feels like some fans are sold that he's a bust, and some are expecting him to continue to grow and take leaps and bounds this next season. He's 21 years old, so obviously he's not hit his peak or his prime yet. So yeah, if he's healthy this season going into it, I can see him doing a lot of good things. But I don't know. There's just mixed reviews. Some people, I think they think that he thinks that he's really, really good, but he hasn't shown it yet on the field. So, okay. Some interesting facts about Manchester United. Manchester United's cabinet gleams with glory, as it says here. The club boasts an astounding 20 English League titles, 13 Prem titles. 13 of those are Premier League titles, the Prem. 12 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, 3 European Championships, and 1 FIFA Club World Cup. It stands as one of the most successful clubs in English history. And they're called the Red Devils because they're synonymous with... the Red Devils are synonymous with Manchester United, but that comes from the World War I, the 1st Battalion of the Salford Regiment, known as the Red Devils. It inspired this iconic moniker, embraced by the club and etched into football history. And again, Manchester United, they're one of the biggest global brands. Like they're Yankees, Cowboys, Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona. They're one of those big clubs. You know about them. And Vic, tell us about the odds.
Yeah. Just real quick on them being one of the biggest clubs, me looking for a Liverpool kit, every time I go to like the closed stands and everything like that, I see something red. It's always Manchester United. It just gets my hopes up.
Of course.
So, yeah, it sucks. But anyway, the odds. The Manchester United has the 5th best odds to win the Premier League at a plus 2,200, and to crack into the top 4. Again, they have the 5th best. To crack into the top 4, they have the odds of plus 200 to get into a Champions League spot. So, yeah, right on the edge there. They've always been up there, and we'll see how the season plays out. And hopefully, we can beat them twice and maybe knock them down for Tottenham, because I think Tottenham is tied with them for the same.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it. We'd appreciate that too. And if you look at their arrivals and departures this offseason, they've had a lot of action. Mason Greenwood, Wan-Bissaka, Kambuala, Carreras, they're all gone. And they bring in Yoro, De Ligt, Xerxes, Mazraoui. I don't know how to say that last name. I'll figure that out. But they've spent a lot of cash this offseason, and bookies having them finishing in the top 6. So it is what it is. But their marquee signing Euro is already hurt in the preseason, and Ten Hag in his most recent press conference is complaining about the team's energy and the preseason that they have been putting on. That's not starting off good. And going into this season, that everybody knows the club didn't even want to keep Ten Hag around. They kind of were forced into it when some of the other coaches left, and he won the FA Cup. So, I think there's just not good juju going around Manchester United. And even though they're probably going to be one of the better teams, I think 8th place, they're probably going to be around that place again. I don't see them getting into the Champions League spots for sure. They're for damn sure not going to be above Spurs this year. So, and that's how I feel about Manchester United this year. Vic, you want to say anything worse, or did I cover it?
No, we usually stay in our own circles. We're not like rivals or anything, and we don't usually. I think we beat them like 7-0 at one point. So, man, we got no beef with them. They're good.
Well, I do have to say that Manchester United's third kit is really cool. I'm a big stripe guy, and those stripes, they're really cool. It's a cool kit.
It is pretty cool. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I give them that. That's about it. Okay, moving on to Newcastle United. They go by the Magpies. Their coach is Eddie Howe. He's been with them since 2021. He took over for Steve Bruce after he left for Bournemouth. After leaving Bournemouth, he took over for Steve Bruce. Eddie Howe was from Bournemouth. Their founding date is unknown. Oh, no. What the heck? JFam, hit us up with the founding date for Newcastle United.
John's gone. Hopefully we cut all that.
I know. Daniel, just cut all this.
He just came back with cheese in his mouth or something like that. Daniel, I put all this in there.
Oh God! Okay,
we'll find out the founding date. Let me go over, just the city of Newcastle and what it means. Newcastle, it's actually located in a place called Newcastle upon Tyne. Is actually what it means. And it has a population of 307,565 in a 44 square mile area. It's pretty packed in there, and they play at St. James Park with a capacity of 52,350. So what does this mean in American? Well, the closest U.S. city population that we have is Orlando, Florida. And I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of Orlando, or at least kind of heard about it because Disney's around there. So, and the closest U.S. city size that we have is, as far as square mileage, is Roseville, California. Tiny little Californian town that we have. And now it's quiz time for our MLB correspondent Snooze. The closest pro stadium that we have in America is Chase Field, home of the
Arizona Diamondbacks.
That is right. Another MLB stadium. And the closest non-pro stadium, this one's pretty cool. It's Franklin Field. It was built in 1895, and it's the oldest still operating college football stadium. It's home of the Penn Quakers. And the Quakers, that's a pretty apt name. But it's cool because there's a field house at the end of this, and it's really old, and it kind of looks like the hospital from House. Have you ever watched House? That hospital.
Never watched House.
Oh, you guys see it? It's like they always do an aerial shot of it. Kind of looks like that. I liked House, and so yeah, it kind of looks like that. But yeah.
Well, first off, I can't believe you used apt correctly. That's pretty cool. And second, whenever you said how old the stadium was, I was like, did he just start over with a British stadium? And but no, I didn't know that there was stadiums that old in the U.S. That's pretty freaking cool.
Crazy. Yeah.
So last season, Newcastle finished 7th. They were 4th in goals for and joint 10th with Brighton in goals against. Their best ever finish in the Prem is second place in the 95-96 season. And in Europe, the last time they were there was in last season's Champions League. And their best ever finish in Europe, according to UEFA, their only official UEFA title was won in the 01-02, my favorite UEFA Intertoto Cup. Some key players for them. Last season, their top scorer was Alexander Isak, 23-year-old Swedish center forward, had 21 freaking goals for them. Let's go. Their assist leader, they actually had 2 people that were tied with 10. That was Anthony Gordon and Kieran Trippier. Their best young talent to watch for, well, let's see. I missed my spot. Yep, there we go. Best young talent to watch for is actually Anthony Gordon. He's a 22-year-old left winger, had 11 goals to go along with those 10 assists. So obviously he's helping out everywhere. I like it to see whenever it's a pretty even spread like that. And he's one of the brightest young English talents in the world right now, and he's continued his upward trajectory since joining from Everton last summer. He's already linked with some of the bigger teams, most notably Liverpool, because they haven't made a single signing yet, so they need to get someone in. Some interesting facts about Newcastle. I have a few of them because there's a lot of questions I had, and I was just answering these. So Newcastle, the Jacobites said that Newcastle and the surrounding areas were all for George. Hence the name Geordie, used as a derivation. How do you say that word, Vic? You help me here. Derivation of George.
Oh my god!
And if you don't know what that means, Geordie is someone from that area. And actually, Geordie Shore was a show similar to Jersey Shore in the States. So it kind of explains what Geordies are in England. Newcastle's nickname, the Magpies, is directly inspired by the black and white colors of their iconic home strip, mirroring the colors of a magpie. The seahorse on Newcastle's badge represents the city's connection to the sea and its status as a port. The two mythical green seahorses with gold manes, fins, and tails are based on the city's coat of arms. So yeah, those are all questions I always wanted to know about Newcastle. So hopefully if you're listening, then yeah, answered some questions for you. Vic, now everybody's main question is, what are those odds?
Yeah, the odds have them with the seventh best odds to win the Premier League at a plus 3,500, and to finish in the top four and get a spot in the Champions League. They're actually tied with the Tottenham Hotspurs and Manchester United at a plus 200. So on the edge there, trying to get in. It should be a fun race, and we'll see what happens.
And looking at some of their ins and outs, they have brought in Lewis Hall from Chelsea. They brought in, that is a hell of a name, Odysseus from Nottingham Forest, we'll call him. And then also Osula from Sheffield United. And really, they've only lost Elliot Anderson, which is a pretty big piece of their team, to Nottingham Forest. But that's a really big Minta went to Brighton. But yeah, like they're going into this season pretty much with a tit for tat, right? Odds have them, like Vic was saying, pushing for the last couple of European spots. But really, the thing I would like to say is that after the billionaire takeover, they shot up to fourth place and in the 22-23 season, and they played in the Champions League season last year because of it. So I think that they're kind of biting off more than they can chew at the moment by bringing in, all of this money and bringing in players, and obviously the results are following it, but at a certain point they got to kind of bring it along slowly. I mean, you would think, right? I don't know, maybe City's proving me otherwise, but I'm just saying it feels like they taxed their squad a lot last season. So going into this season, they don't have European football, thanks to Manchester United. I believe that's why they didn't get that spot. But with no European competitions, they can put all their energy into the Prem and obviously the cups, the cups that are in England. But I'm hoping that they end up doing pretty good. I've always liked Newcastle, and looking at their kits, they actually have some of my favorite kits outside of Arsenal. Actually, Arsenal second, just because I can't put them first. But Newcastle has the best ranked kits for me this season. Just looking at how different everything is, and that third kit with the different logo, this is just sick. I really like them. So yeah. I can see Newcastle taking a step this season. Vic, how do you feel about Newcastle?
Well, I like Newcastle. Newcastle has always had a small part of my heart because the first FIFA game that I played and I created my created character, they were the first ones to sign me on Newcastle in the Premier League. So I think about almost every year whenever I'm buying like a Liverpool kit, I look at Newcastle's kit and I'm like, I'm going to buy one of those. And so I've been like this close to buying a Newcastle kit like almost every year. But
well, this is the year to do it since they look awesome.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, I like Newcastle. Always had a special place in my heart. And every time I get a chance, I watch them. So.
Also, shout out their away kit. I mean, that is a thing of beauty. Look at that.
Barcelona kits.
Yeah, Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. That's how we feel about Newcastle United. Let's move on to Nottingham Forest. They go by Forest or the Tricky Trees. Their coach this season is Nuno Espirito Santo. And he's a Portuguese coach, been there since December 2023. On December 20th, 2023, to be exact, Espirito Santo was appointed head coach of the... Why do I have all this? Like I can put it. Anyway, once Nottingham Forest got rid of Steve Cooper, he took over. In a nutshell, Nottingham Forest were founded in 1865, and they're in the city of Nottingham, which is in the East Midland region of England. And it says something else about West Bridgeford. I don't understand how it works there, Vic. Hopefully you do. Tell us more.
I don't know either, but I knew enough to just leave West Bridgeford out as well. And all I have is Nottingham. So Nottingham has a population of 328,513 in a 29 square mile area. Little tiny town, pretty dense there. And they currently play at City Ground with a capacity of 30,404. And what that means in American is that the closest U.S. city population that we have as far as population, I don't know why I said that again, as far as population, is Lexington, Kentucky. And the closest U.S. city as far as square mileage is Miramar, Florida. Little town in Florida that we have. The closest pro stadium that we have here in America is Geodis Park in Nashville. That's home of Nashville FC. There's actually a few that are around the 30,000 mark, so you'll see Geodis Park again if you haven't seen them already. And the closest non-pro stadium that we have is another college football stadium. But I like this one because it's Centennial Bank Stadium, home of the Arkansas State Red Wolves. It's pretty awesome. Cool name.
The Red Wolves. Okay. Yeah. I saw a notification that Giroud is making his LAFC debut, and it just made me just right real now? Quick. This is way off topic. I know this is way off topic right now, but yes, right now. I guess they're in the League's Cup. I stopped watching whenever Austin FC went out, but. So they have Hugo Lloris, they have Olivier Giroud, and they're thinking about getting Antoine Griezmann as well. Like, what the? That just makes me angry.
Like anyway. little Barcelona at Miami.
And Miami, I know, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. Anyway, so last season, Nottingham finished 17th, just outside of the relegation zone. They were 17th in goals for and joint 15th. In goals against with Bournemouth. Their best ever finish in the Premier League, then the Prem, was finishing third in the 94-95 season, and their best ever European, or their last time they were in Europe was 95-96 Europa League, UEFA Cup, but their best ever European finish, and their songs still talk about it to this day. They won back-to-back European Cups. We are the champions of England, the kings of England. That was when 78, 79, and 79, 80. So they won essentially the Champions League of their time back-to-back. Nottingham Forest. That's crazy to think about right now. Key players last season, Chris Wood was their top scorer. He's a 31-year-old New Zealand, a Kiwi center forward. He had 14 goals for them. And their assist leader last season was MGW, Morgan Gibbs-White, 24-year-old English attacking midfielder, had 10 assists for them. Their best young talent to watch for is Murillo. He's a 22-year-old Brazilian center back. He's very much, this is taken straight from an article I read, very much a modern ball-playing central defender. He's almost the inverse of a stereotypical center half of old. He's under 5'10" in height and attempts fewer than 2 tackles per game, but he's technically gifted, quick, and strong with the ball at his feet. I don't know how he's a center back, and I don't know how he's one to watch for. But after reading that, dude, we have a chance, you know? Maybe. I don't know. He's getting to the bottom of his drink. The one time I call on you, I want your comment, you're drinking.
That's not out of the norm. But yeah, go ahead. I'm always drinking.
Fair enough. Yeah. Some interesting facts about Nottingham Forest. Forest was a pioneer in English football, being the first English side to wear shin guards in 1874. They were probably just sheets of wood or, I don't know, metal. I don't know.
You think they got made fun of? Yeah, he's wearing shin guards over here. What the hell?
What are these? You put weapons in their
They need
socks.
to protect their shins. Wow.
Losers.
Sorry. It just popped in my
And
head.
the club's 1878 game against Sheffield Norfolk is thought
Norfolk.
to be the first Norfolk. No, it's not folk. I know that much. They'll tear us up for saying that. It's thought to be the first time a referee used a whistle in England. That's pretty cool. Forest mascot is Robin Hood, a nod to Nottingham Forest's legendary hero. And the club colors can be traced back to 1865 when the 15 founders were inspired by Italian revolutionary Giuseppe Garibaldi and his red shirts. That's all I have for them, though, Vic. What are some odds?
Well, I'll tell you the odds. Odds are not good for Nottingham Forest. They have the tied next to last best odds with a plus 100,000. They're tied with Southampton, who we'll talk about in the next. And they're only second to last with the 150,000 odds. I think we talked about them, Ipswich and Leicester. So they're pretty close. They're flirting with the bottom three, and to finish in the top 10, just the top half is a plus 700. So unfortunately, I think only the newly promoted teams are worse off, but we'll see how they go. How it goes. And if you want to put your money down, good luck.
Yeah, in Forest, actually, they made a lot of cash this offseason, selling off Mangala for $23 million. Again, Odysseus, our boy with a hell of a name, 23 mil. And then also Niakate to Lyon for 31 mil. So they have made a lot of cash. And they brought in with that cash Nikola Milinkovic from Fiorentina, one of our teams, and Elliot Anderson from Newcastle for 41 mil. So they definitely have made some ins and outs and made some cash this off season. But again, word on the street is that they're going to be relegated. And, the new coach who's not had a great Premier League track record kind of shows why these odds are not great. No offense, but, Nuno, I guess I'm a little jaded because his time with Spurs, which you probably didn't even know that he was coaching Spurs at one point. Yeah, and that's pretty much why. But I mean, they're obviously pretty desperate to stay in the Prem, looking at these arrivals. So we'll see how it turns out. I really don't. I'm kind of conflicted on what I think about this team. But having good odds to be relegated after how they did last season, I think that's about right. And anything else? Let's see. Nope. I'm good. Are you good?
All good.
Let's move it along. We have Southampton, which there should be an extra H, so it's Southampton, I guess. But they go by the Saints. Their coach is Russell Martin. He's been their coach since 2023. He led Southampton back to the Prem in his first year in charge. He thinks it's easy. They were founded November 21st of 1885, and Southampton is in the city of Southampton, and that's in Hampshire, England. Yep. I'm sure Vic has, Hampshire is like what? Pennsylvania?
No, Southampton. Well, it has a population of 269,781. So it's a pretty big area. And 28 square miles. It's a pretty big population in a small area. They play at St. Mary's Stadium with a capacity of 32,384. So what this means in American is the closest U.S. city that we have as far as population is Madison, Wisconsin. Heard of that one? And the closest U.S. city that we have as far as area is Ann Arbor, Michigan, the small little college town again. The closest pro stadium, we went over this again, but I'll hand it over as a layup for our MLB correspondent. Closest pro stadium in America we have is Progressive Field, home of the...
Guardians.
Cleveland Guardians, that's right. And the closest non-pro stadium that we have is Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium, home of the Navy Midshipmen. It's a college football team because even our Navy has a football team.
Everyone does. Last season, they finished fourth in the championship, but they won promotion through the playoff. And their best ever finish in the Prem is sixth place in the 15-16 season. The last time they were in Europe was 2016-2017 Europa League, and they haven't been out of the group stage yet in Europe. So getting there is the best they've done. Some key players for them. Last season, their top scorer, and their assist leader was Adam Armstrong, a 26-year-old English center forward. I had 21 goals for them and 13 assists. And their best young talent to watch for is Taylor Harwood Bellis. He is a 22-year-old English center back, and he's brought in from Manchester City, and he's pretty much instantly their best young talent to watch at the moment. But Southampton, right now, they don't have a lot of really highly touted young talent, but typically they're a factory for young talent. Usually it's bought and sold out pretty quick, but either way, right now, he's the best one. Some interesting facts. I have one fact for you. They have been nicknamed the Saints because of the club's beginnings as a church football team at St. Mary's Church. Huh. Wonder where we heard that before. Okay, Vic, tell us some odds.
Well, they're going to need to pray to get out of relegation zone to win the Premier League. It says Bundesliga on here. No idea why. To win the Premier League, they actually have the 18th best odds. So it's tied with Nottingham Forest, who we talked about a little while ago, with a plus 100,000, not 10,000, 100,000. And the odds to finish in the top 10 are at plus 1,100. So not looking good. And, we'll see who fights for that relegation zone or who fights out of that relegation zone.
And for them, their arrivals and departures, they're bringing in Taylor Harwood Bellis from Manchester City. And they also have Flynn Downs coming in from West Ham. And then also Ben Barretton Diaz for Villarreal. But outside of that, I don't see a whole lot that they've done. And again, Vic said it, odds have them just fighting to stay up. And taking a look at those players I just talked about, I think it's obvious that they're just trying to shore up that defense because they brought in 3 center backs, a defensive midfielder, and a right back. So, whenever they're looking at how they're going to stay up, they're trying to get that shored up. But it's Russell Martin's first Premier League season. And I think on the streets, there's worry. I don't think that many people see them staying up. And even though they're bringing in all of these defensive tools, who's going to score these goals for them? So, yeah, I don't see them staying up. Typically, though, I'm not a big Southampton hater. I kind of like them. That's where we got Mauricio Pochettino from. So, as a Spurs fan, I kind of like them. We've had a few of their players that were great for us, too. So, Vic, anything else you want to say about Southampton, the Saints?
No, not much. I won't say anything. We can get to this next team. I'm sure you're anxious to get to them.
I could wait, but let's do it now, okay?
No, let's get it over with. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. This next team goes by Tottenham Hotspur. They are the nickname Spurs, what we call them. Coach is Ange Postecoglou, Big Ange. He's Australian. He's been the coach since last summer, 2023. I don't have any notes in here because I just kind of want to talk about the guy. So taking over for a team that was kind of all over the place, and we had gone through Mourinho and Conte and Espirito Santo. There was just so much turmoil. It felt like we were never going to find someone to stabilize the club. And even if we weren't going to have stability, then at least let us have fun. Because a lot of these coaches, they played defensive style where we didn't have a lot of the ball and we were kind of giving a lot of possession up and just hitting on the counter. And it just felt like every once in a while there was some happiness, some joy watching our players kind of, try to go and take the game to the other team versus kind of like taking what the game is giving them. But Ange, if you will, is kind of come in and change that whole mindset. And he's just, heavy metal football, just kind of like Jurgen Klopp. He was just going after it at all costs. Even whenever we went down to 10 and 9 men at one point, he's still going after it. He's never going to have his team give up. And he gets pissed off. He's like, come on, get up, let's go, get up the field. I love it. So anyway, I won't talk too much more about him, but we also didn't do too well as far as results did towards the end of the season. So, hopefully he's there for a while. I'm just having fun now. Okay. Their Spurs were founded September 5th of 1882, and that Tottenham is in the North London region. I think, what is this, our last team? Yeah, it is our seventh team out of the 7 London teams. So, Vic, what could you possibly say about London at this point?
Not much, but they are in a different borough. They are in the borough of Haringey or Haringey. I'm not sure how you say it in a British accent, but Haringey, that borough has a population of 261,811. And of the 606 square miles that is London, Haringey has 11.42 square miles of that. And they currently play at the most boring name ever, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with a capacity of 62,850. So, what does this mean in American? Well, the closest U.S. city that we have to the borough of Haringey is North Las Vegas. It's actually they're counting it as different, but it's like the northeast quadrant of Las Vegas, like the whole metropolitan area. And the closest U.S. city that we have, as far as size, for Haringey here in the United States, is Lynn, Massachusetts. Another small borough, another small Massachusetts town or Connecticut town. The closest pro stadium that we have to the most boring name ever, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, is State Farm Stadium, home of the Arizona Cardinals. And the closest non-pro stadium that we have is Lavelle Edwards Stadium, home of the BYU College Football Cougars, another college football team.
There's no way BYU has 62,000 or whatever the hell. That's insane.
So it's like, no way. Yeah, I checked.
I mean, I'm not going to recheck your fact. I'm just saying that's crazy. In my mind, it's like there's 5 people that eat corn and watch football. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, last season, Spurs finished in 5th place with the 7th ranked goals for and a 3-way tie for the 7th ranked goals against with Villa and Fulham. Best ever finish in the Prem is 2nd place in the 2016-2017 season. And last time they were in Europe was the 22-23 Champions League, which I was able to go to. This was pre-death of Queen. That sounded rude. Best ever European finish was the 2018-2019 Champions League final, where we did not win the final.
There's some more notes on here. What does it say? Losing to Liverpool 2-0. Yeah. We went and watched that game.
We could have left that part out. Yeah, we got to the final of the Champions League in 2018-2019. And the top scorer for us for Spurs last season was Heung-min Son. Sonny, as we call him. He's a Korean left winger, 32 years old at this point, scored 17 goals, and their assist leader last season was Sonny and Brennan Johnson. They both had 10 assists apiece. Best young talent to watch for is Pape Matar Sarr. He's a Senegalese center midfielder, 21-year-old. He had 3 goals and 3 assists last season, and the reason why we all like him is because he's kind of like a multi-tool. He plays all across the midfield, whether it be on the defensive side or if it be more of an attacking role. But what he's really known for is just having that really good instinct and IQ. That's pretty impressive for his age. Fun to watch too. Some interesting facts about Spurs. In 1963, they became the first British club to win a UEFA club competition, the European Cup Winners' Cup. In 1972, they won the UEFA Cup, becoming the first British club to win 2 different major European trophies. I brought that up because even though it sounds weird, and why would you talk about that? Everybody talks about how we didn't win trophies. We used to, dog. We used to. Tottenham plays their home games at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is a capacity of 62,000, like Vic said. The stadium was designed by Populous and is the first purpose-built stadium for NFL games outside of the U.S. It has a retractable natural turf pitch that can slide under the south stand in 25 minutes to reveal the artificial playing surface. Pretty freaking cool to see it. I remember when they were building it, they were literally talking to the NFL and had like Roger Goodell and other entities from the NFL come out when they were building the stadium because they wanted that partnership. Yeah, so hopefully that leads to, trophies, maybe? I don't know. But pretty cool either way. Okay, and tell us what the odds are that we win this Prem title. I think they're pretty high, huh?
Yeah, well, you have the 6th best odds to win the Premier League title with a plus 2,500 and to finish in the top 4 at a plus 200. So pretty good odds. Should be an exciting race. I honestly do not know if you guys will be able to make it. I do not know if y'all will stay out of it. So it should be pretty interesting to see.
that's exactly how the word on the street is. Everything I was reading, because I'm not trying to use my own opinions. I want to see what everybody else is saying, and everybody's pretty much just like Spurs are an enigma. They're either good or they're not, and it's just like up to them. At any time, they can beat anyone, but they could also lose to anyone. And so going into this season, looking at their rivals, it was actually kind of weird because bringing in Archie Gray, who's 18-year-old from Leeds, for 41 mil, and then Lucas Bergvall from some Swedish club. But he was, I read about him. I read a whole article, and I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I didn't really know who he was for 10 mil. And then also a right winger from Korea, Yang, for 4 mil. I was kind of like, okay, these are our 3 signings, but they're all essentially, they're all 18-year-olds that are essentially for the future. None of them are going to help our team grow this season. And so it was cool, but also like, can we not just for once do something for this next season? Like, why do we always have to think 3 or 4 seasons ahead? And then they went and got Dominic Solanke, and it's cool. It's great. We've been needing a striker, a center forward that's, more of a goal threat. But there's a lot of other positions that we need help with as well. And hopefully it's just, a health thing. But when you look at the departures tab, that's the crazy part. They've lost so many. If you're a Spurs fan, you know every single one of these names. They played roles for our team for a while. So obviously they needed to shore up, or they needed to clear up some of that squad space. And Tungia Ndombele, Ryan Sessoun, Eric Dyer, Joe Rodon, Perisic, Tanganga, Højbjerg, Hill. So many players that have been key parts are now gone. So that's crazy. Okay. But yeah, odds have them finishing top 4. And I think really injuries were the reason that we didn't get there last season. But yeah, I think with the one full season under Ange, and I have to say Liverpool and Chelsea having new coaches, I'm not saying that they're going to guarantee be bad, but I don't think you can instantly say that them with new coaches are going to hit the same heights that they were. I think that, Spurs are the more stable of those bottom, 6 out of the top 6, if that makes sense. Like, 4, 5, 6. I feel like they have a better shot at getting in just at the start of the season. We'll see how that plays out, but I'm pretty excited about going into this season. What I'm not excited about, though, is the kits this season. The home one is cool. I like it. The away kit looks like bananas in pajamas. And the third kit, it's cool, but it looks like, I don't know, like
looks like a winter special edition thing. Like,
yeah, it's weird. But they usually do some crazy stuff. So, Vic, I don't even want to ask, but do you have anything that you want to talk about Spurs before we move on?
2 things Spurs related, probably not really much about the team. Number 1, the son I never had. I wish Son would have been a red. He would have fitted so perfect. He'd still fit in perfectly with Jurgen Klopp's ball. And I promise you, if we had Son, we would have won Premier League like 4 times in a row. I guarantee you. So I'm jealous of that part. And I've let you know that for a long time. 2, Adam and I, since these are our teams, we actually started this thing immediately whenever Liverpool played at Tottenham, where we would go and watch the game at a bar at each other's home bars, which Tottenham's home bar was Mr. Tramp's, and Liverpool's home bar here was B.D. Riley's. It might have been whichever one was downtown. It was
it was the pub that's not there anymore. In my defense,
I forgot Fido's. It was Fido's downtown.
Yes,
and so we were like, all right, let's do this. We're gonna go watch the home. Whoever's playing at home, we're gonna go to that home team. And the first game was at Tottenham, so I went to Mr. Tramp's. I genuinely don't remember the score. I feel like we tied, but every time I would cheer for something, I would get told to shut the fuck up or shut the hell up. I don't know if we can cuss yet. And immediately after that, we never went to another bar game because Adam got his home game, and we never went to another game to watch, or another bar to watch the game, either at B.D. Riley's or Fido's, and we still haven't. So, in the comments,
I will say though,
let me know what you guys think of that. I just want to know, is that fair?
Look,
I think so.
We went to a mutual site for the final, and it wasn't mutual at freaking all. It was full of Liverpool fans, supporters, everyone wearing the kits. There's like 3 other Spurs people wearing kits, and I was drunk and chanting, and they didn't know any of them. So, I think you got me back tenfold if you ask me.
Still said mutual. You still haven't been to BD Riley's. You still haven't been. We didn't go to Fidel's. So I think you still owe me a game.
Mutual,
and you still owe me lunch, by the way.
If you just go by who had the home field advantage, it's not really mutual anymore. You know what I mean? Like, if it was 95% Liverpool fans, I don't think that's a mutual bar. I think you knew that bar was going to be Liverpool, and
I honestly didn't know. We were going for a Champions League final. Anyway, that's all I want to say. Not fair. We can talk about it later. Fine. If you guys want to hear more about me and Adam going toe to toe with Liverpool and Tottenham, let us know down below. And I don't know, we can probably throw something together for you.
We'll figure it out. Okay, moving on. We had a couple more. We'll fly through these guys. West Ham United, the Hammers. Their coach is Julen Lopetegui. He's a Spanish coach, joined in earlier this spring, May of 2024. He left Wolves last season after disagreements with ownership and management due to financial issues. West Ham were founded in June of 1895. And West Ham, they are the 7th. They're in London, and they're in East London. I'll let Vic tell you more about London for the 7th time.
Yeah. West Ham United are in the borough of Newham. I don't know how you say it. Newham, yeah. And that borough has a population of 358,645, and of London's 606 square miles, it is just 13.68 square miles of that. West Ham United play in London Stadium, previously known as Olympic Stadium, and this stadium is beautiful. This is an amazing stadium with a capacity of 62,500. So what this means in American is the closest U.S. city that we have as far as population is Cleveland, Ohio, which pretty much everybody knows about. And the closest U.S. city that we have as far as size to the borough of Newham is Lowell, Massachusetts. Lowell, Massachusetts. So another tiny little Massachusetts town. The closest pro stadium that we have to Olympic Stadium or, London Stadium is Lucas Oil Stadium, one of the most American stadium names that I can think of, home of the Indianapolis Colts of the NFL. And the closest non-pro stadium that we have is California Memorial Stadium, home of the California Golden Bears, another college football team. And the Golden Bears, it's a nice name. I like that.
It's cute.
It's cute.
Okay, last season, West Ham finished 9th place. They had the 8th ranked goals for, 17th ranked goals against. Best ever finish in the Prem is 5th place in the 98-99 season. And the last time they were in Europe was the last iteration of the Europa League. And their best ever European finish was winning the Europa Conference League back in 22-23, which is crazy. Spurs can't win a trophy, and these guys get in for once every 10 years, and they freaking win the Conference League. That's frustrating. Key players for them last season. Jared Bowen, 26-year-old right winger, was their top scorer. He scored 16 goals, and they had 2 people tied with 7 assists for them last season, Vladi Kufal and James Ward-Prowse. Their best young talents to watch for going into this season is Crescencio Somerville, the Dutch left winger, 22 years old. He had 19 goals and 9 assists last season in the championship for Leeds. That's crazy. And a lot of teams were vying for his signature when Leeds didn't end up getting into the Prem. They lost to Southampton. But, West Ham got his signature. So what a steal for them. Their nickname is the Irons or the Hammers, some interesting facts about them. And that comes from their association with the Thames Ironworks and Shipbuilding Company, whose workers formed Thames Ironworks FC, now called West Ham FC. And Victor kind of did this earlier, but why? You're messing with Americans' emotions here because we say West Ham, but, that's how you say it there. That's even British people say West Ham. But then there's Fulham and Pelham. And how are we supposed to know when to do and then ham? And then I don't really know the answer. I read the answer and I still don't know, but I put a little synopsis here. The answer goes back 1,000 years to similar words in Old English. Ham, meaning farm, and whenever you say like Fulham, that was a less common version of that word denoting riverside or grazing land. So ham and ham is the same word, but it used in different connotations depicts where you say ham or So anyway, are you confused? Because I still am, and I need a British person to tell us.
Yeah, I still have no idea.
Right? It's like West Ham is in Newham, but like why? What's going on? Anyway. All right, tell us the odds, Vic.
Well, they're right in the middle. West Ham have the 10th best odds to win the Premier League at a plus 20,000, and to finish in the top 4 and get some sort of Champions League spot, they are at a plus 1,400. And I feel like they've always been around there, except if you watch Ted Lasso, then they're like absolute juggernauts.
You had to throw that in there, huh?
Had to, yeah.
Believe. Okay. So moving on to the arrivals and departures, West Ham, they've kind of gone all out. They've lost a few, notably Said Benrahma, who he went to Olympique Lyonnais. But bringing in Max Kilman from Wolves for 47 mil, Somerville, like we talked about earlier, from Leeds for 29 mil, Nicholas Füllkrug, who we all know from the Euros and from Dortmund, for 27. They bring in an 18-year-old Brazilian, Luis Guilherme, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka from Manchester United. So they're just freaking going all out, and odds have them finishing mid-table. One thing that was a common theme when I was reading for, word on the street, but that the fans were clamoring. They've been clamoring for a new, exciting, attacking-minded head coach to come in. But their hire was Lopetegui, who does not have that type of style. He plays a very conservative style is the best way to describe it from what I'm reading. And what I will say is that while they may not be fun to watch, they definitely have a great squad, and they added a lot of pieces to it, especially on the attacking side, like all those players I was just talking about. And they've even obviously they had the 17th ranked defense last season, which, the fact that they were able to finish 9th is insane whenever you're giving up that many goals. But they're bringing in 2 center backs in Todibo and Kilman, and that should help stabilize that 17th place finish. So that with Lopetegui's pedigree, I think that actually West Ham is going to have a great season, just not going to be fun to watch for anyone. Okay. Anything else that we need to talk about for them, Vic?
Nope. We got one more team left. Let's go ahead and knock it out. One of the best names.
Enough.
So,
yeah. This is that top class name, Wolverhampton Wanderers. That is British as hell. Wolverhampton Wanderers. They go by Wolves for short. Their coach going into this season is Gary O'Neill. He's coached them since 2023. He was dismissed by Bournemouth in April of 2023 and was hired by Wolves in August. So obviously they saw something in him. Wolves were founded in 1877, and Wolves is in Wolverhampton, which is in the Black Country, West Midlands. I'm sure there's other things that we can say, but Vic, help us clear all this up.
Yeah, so Wolverhampton has a population of 263,700, all in a 27 square mile radius. They play in, I believe it's Molineux Stadium, right? Molineux Stadium, with a capacity of 31,750. It's just weird, all these British names, and then you have a French Molineux or yeah. Anyway, what does that mean in American? Well, the closest U.S. city population, the closest U.S. city that we have as far as population is St. Petersburg, Florida. And the closest U.S. city that we have as far as square mileage is Huntington Beach, California. The closest pro stadium that we have, again, is Geodis Park, home of Nashville FC. There's a bunch around that 30,000 mark that Nashville FC and Geodis Park have. And the closest non-pro stadium that we have is Truist Field, home of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, which is, again, and for the last time, a college football team.
And last season, Wolves finished 14th. They had the 16th ranked goals for and the 13th, joint 13th with Brentford. with goals against. And their best ever finish in the Prem was 7th in the 2018-2019 season. In Europe, the last time they were there was the 2019-2020 Europa League season. And their best ever European finish was reaching the final of the 71-72 UEFA Cup, which is now the Europa League. Some key players for them last season. They had two people that tied with 12 goals, and that's Mateus Cunha and He Chan Huang. Their assist leader last season is Pedro Neto. He's a Portuguese right winger, 23 years old, had 9 assists for them last season. And their best young talent to watch for going into this season is João Gomes, 23-year-old central midfielder from Brazil, and he had 2 goals and 1 assist for them last season. Wolves have a very, very young squad, and they're usually full of Portuguese and Brazilians, and this is the next guy in line. Some interesting facts about them. Wolves have played at Molineux Stadium since 1889, and their traditional kit is gold shirts and black shorts since 1979. So yeah, these guys have a lot of history with their colors and their stadium. The club's traditional kit is black shorts with gold shirt. Sorry. Why is this so hard for me to say? The club's traditional kit is black shorts with old gold shirts and socks. The colors are based on the city's motto, "Out of the darkness cometh light." So yeah, black represents the dark and gold represents the light. I thought they were just Halloween colors, but who would have thought? Okay, Vic, tell us the odds.
The odds have Wolverhampton with the 15th best odds to win the Premier League at a plus 50,000 and to finish in the top 4 at a plus 5,000. I think that's just about right. I don't think they'll be in that relegation zone. Probably not because of anything that Wolverhampton is doing really well, but just because other teams are going to be doing not as well as Wolverhampton. So teams like Ipswich and Leicester and stuff like that. Maybe a little bit of Everton. But we'll see. Wow. We'll see how it goes. I'm sorry, Daniel. I had just one of them too. Nothing personal.
And looking at their arrivals and departures, you thought I was lying when I said they love them some Brazilians and Portuguese. Their arrivals, they bring in a Portuguese midfielder, Rodrigo Gomes, and a Brazilian right back, Pedro Lima. Those are their kind of marquee signings for this offseason. They did lose Pedro Neto, who we talked about earlier, was their assist leader to Chelsea, but they got 60 mil coming back to them. So golly, that's crazy. And the best way to sum up Wolves is per an article on AMNY, the loss of Pedro Neto to Chelsea is a massive blow for Wolves side that collapsed towards the end of last season. Losing Maximilian Kilman to West Ham doesn't help much either. The hope is that new signing Rodrigo Gomes provides a surge on the wing, but Gary O'Neill's side could be mired in the middle of the table once more this season. So that kind of goes along with Vic's statement earlier about, they're just going to be a mid-table team, and they might do a little bit better, but not getting into those Europe places at all, at least from our point of view. Okay. Also, got to say their kits. I mean, their home one is always the same, and it's cool, but their away and their third leak it's not out yet. They're horrible. Oh, you like them?
I love those kits. Are you kidding me?
I was saying they're horrible.
Bad. No, their away kit and their third kit are badass. They have a snarling wolf on there. But what's more badass than that? And it looks like
what?
It looks badass.
Okay, well, fair enough. It shows the difference in us, right?
I'm saying this as a team that has cactuses, on their thing. So I think that wolf looks badass. So if you guys see these pictures, let us know what you think. I think they're badass. Adam hates them. We'll see what you guys think.
Well, Vic, I think we've said it all. We've done every league. We've done every team. Congrats us for getting all this done, and congrats to everyone else if you wanted to know about these leagues. This took a lot of work to go through each freaking team in every European league, all the top 4, I guess I should say. No offense to the French league. But we're really excited for these teams coming up, and we're excited for the games about to start this coming weekend, and all of the things we have in store for the No Business Soccer podcast. And man, once we get to the wraparound, the European reach around working title, we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to try to do this thing live to where we can have more interaction with you guys. So we appreciate everything. And Vic, go ahead and take us home.
If you stuck with us this entire way, again, we appreciate it. Can't say that enough. So I will just put another little bow on that from what Adam has said. We have some ideas for the future, so let us know what you guys want to see. We want to try to do some live events and hopefully upload immediately. Also do kind of like a weekly kind of recap of everything that's happened for European football. But, let us know what you guys think. Again, we appreciate you sticking around. Like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have another team that you prefer in the Premier League, and me and Adam will tell you why you're wrong if it's not Liverpool or Tottenham. We appreciate it, and y'all have a good one. We'll see you soon.